Support for this program is provided by
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.
additional support provided by Girling Law and Toyota Indiana.
From your parents?
I did not.
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
Shame on you.
I know. We did sex education in 5th grade. We had the whole sex period talk, and we were separated from the boys. And then that was it, basically. And then we kind of learned a little bit more as it went on.
I remember getting a cartoon book and my mom basically saying, check that out, and if you have any questions, let me know. When I told her that I was going to be doing this, she said, well, I think I read that with you, and I was terrified.
I was about 15 and a half, and I had already had sex with several girls at that point, and he, on the ride back to his house, he had picked me up. When we got fairly close to his home, he said, well, I guess you're old enough that we should talk about sex. I said, okay. And he goes, I waited until I was married. I'm not so sure that's the right thing to do. So be careful. I didn't need to ask any questions because I had already had some experiences. Probably would have been better to go into a little bit more detail, but that was it.
Well, you may have been able to give him the talk.
He probably should ask for some advice.
Right.
We always say like the talk, like there's this big formal, okay, let's sit down and now we're gonna have this like
There's a lot of layers to it.
hardcore talk about stuff. And I feel like it, I mean, for me personally and from the viewpoint of as a social worker, it like, it starts very early and it's like numerous conversations throughout our kids' lives. There's not like this one like hardcore thing. So for me, it's been like, hey, you're asking questions about stuff, let me tell you this, or you're gonna know what this body part is. Like we're all about calling things what they are.
Like saying the word
this is your
penis instead of saying
vagina.
Yeah, that's how what we do with Sebastian too. Yeah,
and that's good.
just very up and honest.
A lot of different reasons, like thinking about like abuse situations.
Right.
You know, if we teach our children, you know, the names of their body parts are, you know, some goofy name or something like their cookie or whatever.
Right.
I know people have done that before. Then, you know, if something awful were to happen to our children, we might not know what they're talking about. You know, but if they know this is my vagina, this is my private part, this is just for me, or however you as a family would want to describe that, then if something were to happen that's not okay for our kids and for our family, then it's very clear what's really going on, and nothing's up for debate.
Besides, you know, everyone's like, oh, it sounds so silly to say penis or vagina, but the names that they say, I'm like, really? It's what it's called.
Yes.
You know, that's not silly. That's just basic anatomy.
Plus, I think calling it a cookie is really misleading.
Very, very,
wait a minute.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think that just from the get-go with that, and then as our kids get older, then they're gonna know what we're talking about. So yeah.
Gosh, I feel like it was late middle school, early high school.
You were 12.
Was it 12? Oh, yeah.
About 12 and a half.
Yeah, because I had already hit puberty.
Do you remember that experience at all?
I do. Of course, your version's gonna be different than mine, but I remember being in our kitchen, and I don't know how this got brought up, but out of nowhere, her response was, you know what you need to know about it? Don't do it.
All he really had to say is like, it's your body, and you can say yes or you can say no, but like you're in control of your body. That's all I remember. And like, that is really cool. I mean, not thinking back on it, like, I think it's pretty neat. We didn't talk about sex or like intercourse or like anything like that, but it was basically, he was just saying like, this is gonna happen. And at the time it had already kind of started happening. So I was kind of like, you know, but I just appreciate that now, I think more than ever, that he even was doing that.
My father gave me the talk. I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I think the most significant thing about the talk was the timing of my father. He was almost perfect, but I actually had the talk the day before with a childhood friend that told me everything, certainly in different terms than what my father just told me. So he was just 1 day late. And I was more amazed that my friend was actually telling the truth than shocked by the talk or the happenings or
I guess we were in about first grade, and I didn't know the proper terms for things. And my mom she worked in a laboratory, so she knew a lot about biology and that sort of thing. And still, it never came up. So Steve Gold, who is a prosecuting attorney county attorney in Henderson now, is the first person I ever heard say penis and vagina. And I called him a liar. I was like, you're making that up. There's no way it would be called that. I don't know what the one thing's called, but this is, clearly a ding-dong.
I work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I feel like before they get to me, they're wanting to know stuff. Mm-hmm. And they know stuff before they're getting to me in the middle school, for sure. And what's scary is they know stuff, most of which is probably incorrect.
Exactly.
Because they're learning. Because think about when we were that age.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where I learned was at school. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the talk. Did you guys have the talk? Did you get that?
My brother gave me the talk.
Your brother gave you the talk?
Yes, he did. After school, the little tampon day.
Tampon day? We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? I never heard of this.
They separated the kids, the girls and the boys, and took the boys into one room, the girls in another, and they gave them that. My brother came home. He was 2 years ahead of me, and he's like, guess what's going to happen to you when they, and I remember being terrified. And my family, my mom and I, and my dad, we were just very, I was a deacon's kid in church. We were just, so it just was not really spoken about. So I remember.
So he was briefing you.
Oh, he enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, think about it. How much did he really know? I mean, it's, in the grand scheme, that's like a whole other topic, talking about like starting periods and things like that. But it's kind of involved with this. But I mean, that's another thing. If they're older siblings, I mean, they're talking in front of their younger siblings. Mm-hmm. They're saying things, and kids pick up on stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's that too. They're going to pick up on things, most of which is probably not correct information.
I think I was about 7 years old when I started asking questions. I think that she wanted to have the conversation with me, but was very uncomfortable with it. So our conversation began in the living room when I asked her, what are maxi pads? What are those for? And so in the living room, we had a conversation about what that was and what menstruation was, which led me to ask more questions about why does that happen to women. She started to kind of back away and walk off toward the hallway, so I felt like I was kind of pursuing her into the next room. So we had concluded our conversation in the living room about menstruation. I chased her down to the kitchen where we then talked about sexual intercourse. She then backed away and fled, I think, to the bedroom where we had a conversation about how babies are born. Went into the next room where we talked about birth control measures, how you can prevent these horrible things from happening, from my perspective. And then we ran out of rooms, so the conversation was over at that point.
I guess how I learned about sex was through a discovery of a cache of magazines. And then also a stash of dubbed over VHS tapes, which were interesting at the time, but I found...
What did you think you were watching?
Life, man. I thought that was real. I wanted to be a pizza boy when I grew up.
I don't feel like there's this book of this is the way to do it, this is how you do it, this is right, this is wrong. And I think that's what makes it difficult. But I think just putting that effort out there and making sure we're having the conversations, I mean, that's the important thing. and like I said, kids are going to let us know when they've had a little too much or they're not ready, and then we can kind of tone it down a little bit. I always think car rides are the best time to have conversations. Yeah, you're stuck. I mean, unless they want to just bolt and run out that door while it's moving, and hopefully not, you're all stuck together. Because I know as a parent, sometimes it could be kind of tricky too, and kind of like, okay, I want you to have this information, but I don't really know how to present it, and the whole combination can make it difficult to even start that conversation. I think finding those teaching moments, like if you're watching a show, which I mean, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there. Like, oh, that's funny. Do you know what they're talking about? And then you're just it's an open-ended question. It's a question that doesn't have a yes or no answer. Those are the best questions to ask kids because it's harder to get out of it. But, you can still gauge kind of where they're at with it. There have been times where I've been like, buddy, that's a really good question. I need time to think about that, but I really want to tell you, I want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. So let's talk about this in a little bit.
Okay. So what we wanted to do today was talk to you about where babies come from. Yeah, do you know where babies come from?
Nope.
You know that the babies are in mommy's bellies? Yeah?
How do you think a baby comes out of a mommy? They poop it out?
They poop it out? Well, not exactly. Not exactly. It comes out of a different place. So it won't come out of mommy's butt. The baby comes out of mommy's vagina.
Have you noticed that you and Summer are different?
Yeah.
How are you and Summer different?
Different by I'm a male, she's a female.
What does that mean for you guys?
That we're different.
All right, how do you know that you're a male and that she's a female?
Because I'm a boy, she's a girl.
How do you know? What is it about you guys, your bodies? What is it about your bodies that's different?
We have different privates.
Different private parts? What are those?
You say it.
You have a penis and Summer has a vagina, right? Daddy is a man, mommy's a woman for us. And he has a penis and I have a vagina. And the way that you and Summer came into this world, okay, was mommy has something inside of me, and believe it or not, it's called, I have eggs inside of me. Did you know that?
Like a chicken?
Yes, just like a chicken, but only inside and a lot smaller, okay?
But that can't be science because mammals don't have eggs.
So how do you think the baby gets in mommy's belly?
There's a seed.
There's a seed? Sort of. Like you, mommy had an egg inside her. Do you know that? Mommy had an egg inside her. And so daddy, he had to fertilize mommy's egg.
But doesn't it come out of the butt because it's an egg?
Come out of the butt? Well, no. What do you think?
I'm not a chicken. Chicken poops it out of their butt.
A chicken poops it out of the butt? Well, I wasn't prepared with the anatomy of a chicken. I don't know exactly how that works. Maybe we could talk about eggs and chickens later.
And what happens is it takes a egg and it takes a sperm, and not every time. So and a lot of people have sex and they never have babies because when you get older, that feels good and it's a way for people to show each other they love each other. But it takes an egg and a sperm to meet to make a baby at just the right time, at just the right moment. Okay? Do you know how that happens?
No.
What happens is mommy and daddy
they join
together. He would put his penis inside of my vagina. No sperm would come out at just the right moment, and they would meet my egg, and that's how you came along, and that's how Summer came along. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really cool thing.
You can get two sperms?
Well, the man almost constantly makes sperm in his body.
How do you do that?
How do you make sperm? Well, it just does it automatically. You don't have to try to make sperm.
Or do anything?
Once you reach a certain age, your body will start to produce sperm, and they make millions. So when daddy's sperm is headed towards mommy's egg, there's millions of sperm going towards mommy's egg. And only one of those sperm get there. So that's how special you are. Only one out of millions get to that egg. And then once they meet, that egg starts to turn into a baby. It takes a long time, but that egg starts to turn into a baby. And then that is you.
What happened was when you first get pregnant, your belly's little because you're a little bitty cell, but the cool thing is it just starts growing and growing, and that's why mommy's bellies get bigger. And then eventually, go ahead.
Is it like rain in a water vapor, like other cells kind of cling on and it grows?
Well, I was hoping by getting more involved with that aspect of that, talking with our kids about it, that when they did get a little older, that they would feel comfortable coming to us if they had a problem or a concern or something with it.
And then I think just throughout the years of their lives, finding those teaching moments here and there sporadically. We always say the talk, like I said, like it's this big formal thing. And I think it's multiple small talks here and there. Finding those teaching moments, see where they're at. And there might be that one kid that's totally quiet and never asks anything. So we have to be careful with those kiddos too, that it's like, oh, they don't have any questions, we'll just kind of let that slide, and we might have to pull a little bit more out of those kiddos if you have any of those that are a little more quiet.
Mommy's egg is going to be really soft. It's not like a chicken's egg where it's going to be hard and cracks. It's like it's think of it as like really soft. So it'll poke through and then go inside that egg.
Like for hair.
Huh?
Is it like for our hair, like soft, like that kind of stuff?
That kind of soft? No, more. I don't know.
Like kind of like ear soft.
Kind of like ear soft.
They're not that hard. They don't have bones in them.
They don't have bones in them. No, it is really soft, and you can poke through it. Like I don't know.
Like earrings, because they can poke through, because they have like a little spike.
Like that? Well, I don't know. Maybe imagine like a real soft putty. Or something like that.
It's putty.
Kind of like a Play-Doh type thing, something that's
easy to poke
something that's really soft, and you know how you could poke through.
Yeah, it's
easy. That's
without
kind of
nails too.
Yeah, it's easy without nails because sperms don't have nails.
Or you can do a Play-Doh knife. It'll be easy.
A Play-Doh knife. You could do a Play-Doh knife.
Like a plastic one, not a sharp one.
Right.
Babies do not want to play with them.
Babies do not want to play with a sharp Play-Doh knife.
But I don't think sperm have knives and stuff to cut into my egg.
No.
It'd be kind of weird.
Little knives.
So when I was little, I think my mommy told me that babies came from storks. So I always thought that a giant bird brought babies to the houses.
Like Boss Baby.
Like Boss Baby. Until my mommy had a baby inside her when she got pregnant with your aunt. Then, they said the baby's in mommy's tummy. I had no idea how that could have even happened because I thought they came from birds. Did you ever think they came from birds?
Sort of.
Sort of? How come? Because of those movies?
Yeah, mostly the movies help you learn about that.
Yeah.
But it's not true.
No, that's not real. They don't really come from birds. That'd be kind of strange, wouldn't it? And dangerous. Flying a baby around on a bird.
They would probably cry a lot.
They would probably
or
cry a lot.
Or if they went like up in the sky, they probably couldn't breathe because there's like too much wind.
Yeah.
And stuff.
That's
How
true.
old were you when you learned this?
How old was I when I learned this? Well, I learned that they didn't come from birds when I was about 4, because that's when my mommy got pregnant and started to get a big belly, and everybody said that the baby was in there. So I knew it wasn't a bird, but I still didn't know how all that happened. But you kind of know how that happened now, don't you?
Yeah.
See, so that's pretty cool. So that makes you smarter. So a lot of parents, like my parents, they didn't want to talk to me about that.
Because you were too young.
Well, no, not really. It's, you know, they kind of probably felt embarrassed or didn't know how to talk about it. But we want to make sure that you are okay with talking to us about stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So whenever you have questions about anything at all like that, you come and ask mommy or daddy, and we'll tell you the truth about it. Okay? We won't tell you that babies come from birds.
Are you going to tell your sister?
No. I'm probably going to keep this on CD, and whenever I have a kid, I don't want to say it, so I'm just going to have the CD and play it.
Let them watch it.
It's a part of life, buddy. Like I said, you know, just like everything, you know, it's what humans do, and it's not gross. It's just, that's what it is. And they're, you know, and
to an adult it's gross, to a kid not gross, to a kid it is gross.
Why is that, you think?
Because it's gross.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to us about it. Okay.
As you think about it over the next few days or weeks or whatever, if anything pops in your head or you're not sure about something or wondering about something, you could ask us about it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. Okay? Okay. I love you, buddy.
You did good.
The only time that my mom really brought it up was one of my friend's older sisters got pregnant at a really young age, and I was kind of like, what does that mean? Why does that happen? And I already knew the answer to it. So she kind of just explained when two people love each other very much, then they get married and they have sex, and that's like pretty much the only thing she told me. She had a cartoon book that she handed me, and it had like the physical pictures of it in the book, and that's pretty much the extent of that.
I did not get the sex talk at all. Like, I got the sex talk from different things. My mom and dad like never sat me down. They were never like, here's what's gonna happen to your body and what you do with girls or whatever. I never got that talk. I learned a lot about it from, I grew up religious, so I went to Catholic school, and they would try to like tiptoe around it. They're like, your body's gonna go through some changes, and here are these changes, but we're not gonna tell you all these changes. So, well, I went to Catholic school, and I was also raised Mormon, so that came up a lot in church. You understand how I was raised Mormon and went to Catholic school? You can do many things if you have enough money to pay tuition. But I was raised Mormon, and in Sunday school, as you got older, they would start teaching you like about your body is, you're gonna be feeling things, but do not do this. So all I knew about sex for a long time was, it's gonna be great, don't do it till you're married. So I was like, all right, I need to get married immediately. I need to make this happen. When I turn 18, I'm gonna get married so I can make this sex go down. I did not do that.
I got it from my dad after my mom and dad got divorced in 2nd grade, and I was just living with him. And it was actually a dark and stormy night, and he had rented Predator. And we sit down, we start to watch it, and the beginning all starts with the helicopters flying through. And I turn and look at my dad, and he starts to try to tell me about sex. And I just tune him out absolutely. Going back and forth, watching the movie, looking at him, and I just remember vividly looking up at one point and him just doing this. And I was just like, oh God. And then my eyes were on the movie the entire time after that.
So what happens now when you sit and watch Predator? You sit and watch Predator with
It's an odd mix of shame and arousal at the same time.
So I had an older brother, and I learned some stuff from them and their friends. the stuff they would talk about is unbelievable. I'm like this. So anyway, I learned some stuff from them, and they would tell me stuff or talk about stuff, and I would just like, they would leave and I would ask my brother questions and he would think it was like no big deal, and I would be like, they do what? They want to stick their finger in your vagina? And I would just be like, is this real? And he'd be like, yeah, it's like no big deal. And I'd be like, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? It's just like, it was so bizarre to me, you know? And so I'm glad that I had that at least, because my friends really didn't talk about it in high school. I'm so glad you can edit.
Support for this program is provided by
The Women's Hospital delivers comprehensive health care to women and infants through inpatient and outpatient obstetrical, gynecologic, and education programs. The Women's Hospital, only at Deaconess.